Welcome back, and today we're talking about Jujutsu Kaisen episode 17. And this episode, it was action-packed. We had a lot of fights, a lot more than last episode, which I was a little disappointed by because essentially the whole episode was Panda versus Mekamaru. And with all the different characters that we have here, I honestly thought that it wasn't too bright to focus one whole episode on those two characters. And this episode, they kind of fixed that, right? We got to see Maki versus Kasumi, Momo versus Kugisaki, and Mai versus Maki. So I feel like Maki was definitely the highlight of this episode. And obviously it was also a very female-centric episode. And they were talking about equality between the male and female sorcerers and the kind of bias that the world of Jujutsu Kaisen has. Of course, there's real life problems that are kind of like the same that we deal with in our own world. But before we jump into what happened in this episode, let me remind you to like and subscribe. It definitely helps the channel out. But this episode, I mean, I absolutely loved it, and specifically Maki. I didn't know too much about this character before. I knew that she couldn't use Jujutsu, so you know, she was pretty much a straight up human fighting all these different curses. She can't even see them. She has to wear the glasses in order to see it. And you know, we just see how strong she really is. I mean, talk about the disrespect that she handed Kasumi, all right? Because Maki was fighting Kasumi. That was the big first fight that we got in this episode. And just how she was able to use her weapons to have a little distance between Maki and Kasumi. It was absolutely great. So she knows how to use different weapons very, very well. So that tells you that she's put up a lot of work to master all these different weapons. Heck, even when Kasumi did like the little miniature domain, Maki was able to see right through it. She split her weapon in half. You know, she had tactics behind it, and then even stole Kasumi's sword and kept using it for the rest of the episode. I mean, that's a whole new level of disrespect. And we do learn about Maki's backstory. Essentially, the Sennin family, that's one of the big three clans in the Jujutsu world, and they're holding Maki's promotion. They don't want her to be promoted. They don't want her to, you know, become somebody big in the Jujutsu world, because that would essentially entail that she will become like the head of the family, right? Especially if she becomes like way too OP. And I love a good underdog story, okay? I love underdog animes. So the fact that Maki has her own little underdog adventure going, it's absolutely great. Now, we also got to see Momo versus Kugisaki. Again, we haven't seen too much of Kugisaki in Jujutsu Kaisen, but this episode, she really got to shine. She was able to beat Momo, and while, you know, Momo is a third year in the Kyoto school, I think Momo is more like the information type of sorcerer. She's not really dealing with like fights. She can hold her own, but I don't think her main focus is fighting. I feel like it's more like information gathering. So that's probably why Kugisaki was able to, you know, go toe-to-toe with Momo and essentially beat her. I mean, Kugisaki had her cornered, but the biggest impact of that whole fight was dealing with the inequality that the female sorcerers and the male sorcerers are having, right? We see that Momo, she believes that, you know, the male sorcerers, all they have to do is just be strong, right? They don't have to worry about how they look. But female sorcerers, in the other hand, they have to be perfect, because not only do they have to be strong, but they also have to be pretty. They also have to look good and stuff like that. So obviously that's a little, you know, bias right there, because they're essentially wanting more from female sorcerers. And now I don't know if that's true. Maybe that's a little bias that Momo has and she grew up with. But we see that Kugisaki, she doesn't believe any of it. She's strong. She doesn't care what other people think. And that's why I like Kugisaki as a character. I mean, she definitely fought for her own beliefs and destroyed Momo. And if it wasn't for Mai stepping in, it would have been a wrap. It was awesome. Again, all fights were amazing in this episode. And the animation, of course, was brilliant. I mean, Studio Mappa is killing it with Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, they're definitely bringing in the budget. They're definitely bringing in the animation. Now, the biggest highlight of this episode was Maki and Mai. Those two sisters, they're twins. We got to see their flashback, their story, how they began. And, you know, essentially having twins, I'm guessing in the Jujutsu world, it's kind of like bad fortune, right? So the Sennin family, they're trying to get the next head of the family. And I'm guessing they're grooming Mai to become the next head of the family, because after everything that happened in this episode, we learned that essentially Mai has a little bit of resentment towards Maki, because essentially Maki, she left the clan, she wanted to do her own thing, go out, become a sorcerer, and essentially be the head of the Sanding family. And because of this, I'm guessing the Sanding family doesn't want Maki to succeed, so they're holding her back. They're, not letting her get promoted in the Jujutsu world, and they're kind of putting all their cards into Mai. Mai was forced to become a sorcerer. Whenever they were fighting, she made it clear that she did not want to do that. She was perfectly content staying back at home with the Sanding family and being servants for the rest of their life, right? So I feel like Mai was forced into this situation, and that's why she holds some resentment towards Maki. She feels like Maki, she was gifted supernatural strength, and I don't think that's the case, because honestly, I feel like Maki, even though she doesn't have any jujutsu, I feel like she's definitely worked hard to get to the level that she's at. I mean, again, mastering all those different weapons, you can't just do that. You can't just pick up a sword and automatically be good at it, right? I feel like Maki has put in countless hours of training, of hard work, in order to make up for that gap of not having jujutsu, right? I mean, we see it with the Kasumi fight, right? Maki was able to strategize. She knew when something was up. I mean, great strategist. She has a lot of strength. Definitely love this character. Definitely love a good underdog story. So I really want to see Maki succeed. But I also want her relationship with her sister to be better, because there's definitely a lot of conflict there, hopefully throughout the anime. And obviously, I'm gonna go read the manga once this season is over, because I am really interested in the characters and the world that Jujutsu Kaisen is on. So overall, this episode was absolutely great. I mean, definitely a big step up from last episode, because we got to see so many different characters. We got to learn about so many different characters in this episode, and that's exactly what I wanted, right? So that was awesome. Cannot wait for the next one. I'm sure we're going to see Itadori. Heck, we might even see the guy that can, can use, what is it, like words to control people. I don't know how he's going to come on in, but we still got a lot of different characters that we haven't seen fight, and I cannot wait to learn about those different characters. Next episode is going to be hyped, and this is only part 1 of the competition, right? We still have the one-on-one battles, because I believe earlier, like 3 or 4 episodes ago, when they were explaining the rules, they said that the first half of the tournament was going to be like group-based, so they're going to go out and try to hunt curses and stuff like that, and then the second half was like one-on-one battles. That's what I really want to see. That's where we're really going to see characters shine, and I cannot wait for that. Overall, great episode. Let me know in the comments what was your favorite part, and of course, make sure to like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next episode.